Okay. All right. I'll bring up the guests. So just a heads up, ladies, with cats on their desks and coony pigs and toothpicks in their eyelids. I think that describes all three of you pretty well. I just got the eye roll from LeAnne, everybody. Didn't get to share it on screen. All right, so let's bring up, in no particular order, we'll bring up Blue or Pam. So, g'day,
Hello.
Blue.
Hello.
And, I just got a top. Oh, wow. Sorry, I just got a pop up on my screen that somebody bought one of my hoodies with my... That's not a chicken, it's a chalk. That is awesome. It says anonymous. So thank you, anonymous. That is sensational. But anyway, it was me. It was Glenda at Grace and Fire. I should have known Glenda the chicken lady would be a prime suspect for having a chicken shirt or a chicken top. So welcome, Blue, or Pam, as apparently that's your name, apparently. Pamela, Pam.
Not quite that far, but okay.
That's if you're in trouble. Pamela.
Mm-hmm.
Pamela.
Yeah.
Now, for anybody that does not know, Blue is actually in the UK, and I would say it's currently roughly 2:10 in the morning.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So poor old Blue has had to get up at a very, very early hour to be with us, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
That's okay.
All right, let's bring up the eye roll extraordinaire. Oh, gee. LeAnne's going like this, like, what? Not me.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll bring up LeAnne. G'day, LeAnne.
Hello.
Hey, hon.
Hi, Blue.
Thank you very much for joining us. And finally, we'll bring up Lisa. Is Lisa ready? Lisa's got the thumbs up. G'day, Lisa.
G'day.
Yeah, we're the
How's
Brady
everybody
Bunch.
doing?
There we go. So,
I was the one who kept sending cues in your ear because I was trying to type in the chat through the screen that I'm on, and it won't let me say hello to everybody in the chat. So, hello, everyone in the chat.
Oh, you're not going to believe it, but I've got the problem that I had last time, where I've got the thing stuck on the screen. This is not.
Yeah. I refreshed it, and that's why you kept getting Yogi Hollow Farm has joined.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right. Well, as we talk in the background, I've got CloudBot turned off, so those notifications should not be working. So I apologize to everybody. This is going to be interesting. I'm so sorry. I'm on another screen on my computer at the moment, and everything is turned off, but I'm still getting cues. So I'm just quickly trying to go through. I'm going into my alerts now to see. I am so sorry, everybody.
Why are you apologizing? It's technology.
It's Melon, not you.
No, it's not Melon. It's actually the Streamlabs notifications, I think. Yeah. So, yeah, it's frustrating because the Streamlabs software in the background is not dropping notices into chat. That's turned off. But unfortunately, I'm getting notifications on my screen that are sticking and not going away. And I can't get... Oh, hang on. I just made it disappear on my screen. Did it disappear for you?
I didn't have one to begin with.
I'm refreshing.
Everybody... Yeah. No, it's still there on YouTube. Oh, man. I'm so sorry, everybody.
Don't apologize. It's technology.
All right. So Blue's computer crashed, unfortunately. So, yeah.
Well, she looks good for her.
What else can go wrong?
Oh,
yeah. I mean, far out, Brussels sprout. Yeah,
Well, here.
deja vu, Radio
You want me to
Jonesy.
buy you a few minutes while you look at stuff? Because I got something to say. That's cool.
If you don't mind, hang on. Let's make Lisa's head really big. Hang on. Hang on. There we go. I'm just going to quickly see if I can go turn off these notifications. I'm so sorry, everybody.
Do something that inspires you. I just took an online pork production class that was so inspiring.
Mm.
And it was incredible. And I have another one next Saturday online, but just do the things that inspire you. It's just such a great feeling when you're done with something. I love education, and I've been out of the work world for a while, and to be on a Zoom call and doing a class on something was just really cool. So that's my message. Now LeAnne will do a soft shoe.
Sorry, I was just...
A soft shoe?
Yeah, like soft jazz, a little tap.
Oh,
shuffle.
well, you know I don't like jazz.
Yes.
Well,
yes.
You could be the I'm trying to think of I want to say it the right way. You could be the turntable Mennonite.
Yeah, I can't.
DJ
Okay.
LeAnne.
Oh, Sandy, thank you. I was just saying, it's gone, everybody. We've gotten rid of the notification off the screen. And Sandy has just dropped $5 onto the channel. Thank you.
Not sure what that is in Australian money.
Thank you so much. It's all happening here. Blue's back, so let me bring Blue up because we missed Blue. There we go.
Sorry about that.
It's back. All right, let me see if I can do this. Okay, I'm trying to... Hopefully that will get rid of it, everybody. I'm doing tests for some reason, if I do a test in the background, it might get rid of it. So we'll see.
John just bought
Ryan
a
said
shirt.
auctions inspire him, just so you know.
Inspire.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm just, you know what? I'm just going to try to ignore this message thing and just move on. Unfortunately, it is what it is. And we'll just deal with it. So as I try to share with the screen, hang on, let me share. Yes, I understand. Let's go to a folder and let's go to this one. And all right, so I don't need to show that. Sorry, I was going to mention that I had, with the floods, we had a little bit of water down the back of the yard, and it's fine. That was from a drain that overflowed in the back of the yard and flooded the kids' area. So, yeah, don't worry about that. Let me skip past that.
I like your chicken run. I meant to tell you that the other day.
Oh, what this thing?
Yeah, the shape of it. I think it's a really cool design.
Oh, so yeah, that's my wife and her dad got our old kids swing set, and basically used the A-frame from the swing set and just added bits and pieces. And then what I did was then went to a bunch of pallets, and I made a big pallet box for the back for them to roost in. And then just recently, my wife was throwing out some kids' shelving, and it's not outdoor wood, but I made a nesting box, and that's the box that you can see there on the side. Cool. And yeah, so the girls are laying in it straight away, and they're happy and everything. And I've got 4 more girls they're separated at the moment, and they're due to come here to this coop with the other girls. So there'll be 6 in this yard altogether.
Nice.
All right, just quickly.
And you had about 2 feet of water, right?
Yes, yeah. It was a little bit deeper at the back, but yeah, it's fine. Luckily, all that rubbish that's in there that you can see, I threw in so the girls could stand on something and roost and walk and everything. And yeah, I'm just going to quickly dimple a blade work so it looks like my yard. Oh, so yeah, you got a bit of water, yeah? I'm just quickly going into chat because I feel so bad that I miss everybody with my bad reading of the chat. Just quickly. Okay, John's still there buying his t-shirt. I'm going to try and move him again. So everybody. As I do that. Okay, so Dark Lord Mennonite had some friends that got flooded. I hope that wasn't too bad. Are they okay? Yeah, we are good, thank you. Very good. All right, so look, I'm going to jump straight back into what we were.
Sandy has a question.
Yes,
She would
Sandy,
like to know
sorry.
how much rainfall do you get per year, Daz?
Oh, gee, good question, and I honestly could not tell you. I really don't know. I'd have to look that up. All I can tell you is that flooding is not typical in this state of Victoria in Australia. Unfortunately, New South Wales and Queensland, who are above us, New South Wales first and then Queensland, they do get flooding. And maybe over the years, you've seen vast pitches of just enormous amounts of land underwater. Generally, that's New South Wales and Queensland. Here in Victoria, honestly, we don't get that many floods. We might get some localized flooding in some areas, some flash flooding, but nothing big. I think possibly 2011 and 2007 or 2009, we had a couple of decent floods. But something of this scale is not common with us here. Yes, Jace was saying that some places in Victoria got up to 160 millimeter of rain in 24 hours. Yeah, there was. I can't think of Jace. There's one of the towns got 220 millimeters over a day or so. Yeah, sorry everybody overseas working in inches. Yeah, I'm just trying to think. 200 millimeters. What's that? 20 centimeters.
It's six point. I'm sorry, I looked it up. It's 6.299 inches.
There you go. Thank you. Thanks, LeAnne. So Dimbula Bladeworks is saying that 10 inches a year here, Dimbula Little Desert area, 22 at Echuca. There you go. So just as I said, just thoughts go out there to everyone that's dealing with all the water. It's just it's incredible. And it's amazing that the rains have stopped, but things are still rising as the water from up north sort of makes its way down and adds to everything else down south. Alrighty, so I cannot get rid of the notification on the screen. So again, I apologize to everybody. I'll have to look at that after this live stream and see what I can do about that because I can't have that every week. So look, we're going to talk about preserving food and stuff today. And if I bring back my window, excuse me, will I try and bring back that? And then hopefully the next one, no, not that. My compost, a year of working compost and I lost it all. Well, I lost most of it. But look, honestly, that is nothing compared to what people are actually going through. So you know what? It is what it is, whatever. Okay. So look, what I just want to make clear today is that I really want to make it clear that myself, the people on the screen, and people in chat, as far as I know in chat, none of us are experts and qualified in, preserving properly. How do I explain it? We're not experts. So look, if you're going to follow anything that we say today, the first thing I can say is do your research before preparing food of any kind, whether it's canning, whether it's making a salad on your kitchen bench. Research, learn about food safety and better food practices and food handling, I should say. Just one mistake, people can get sick and even worse than that. So just when it comes down to food, everyone, please just make sure you research and know what you're doing. All right, so now moving on from that, I just also wanted to say that today we're going to be looking at freeze drying, dehydrating, both electric and outdoors, because you can dehydrate in the sun. Probably some pickling, fermenting, and canning, such as pressure canning and water bathing, possibly others if we have time. Now, this is just like a casual conversation between us and the live chat, and I'm encouraging everyone in chat if they'd like to jump in with their tips and hints and everything. But please, if you can, try to think about if you're going to offer advice, that it's correct advice. It's not some sort of, I don't know, hey, balance a knife on the tip of your finger and go and show the kids. Don't do that. What else? And I'm sorry, I know, taking away all the fun. And the discussion, we're going to talk about how to and why we can, and possibly even storage. We might look at storage, actually. Food safety. I want to make sure we cover food safety. And as I said, please jump in and feel included and be part of the conversation if you wish. Yeah, so that's basically it.
And no question is a dumb question. Just saying.
No, absolutely not. Because, as I said, Blue and I worked as chefs professionally for many years, but I don't consider myself an expert at all. And it's been a number of years since I've been in the trade and worked professionally, but I've got papers to say that I'm officially a qualified chef and I did an apprenticeship and everything, but I'm not going to make claims that I'm an expert on canning and stuff like that, because I'm learning as I go over time, and you never stop learning. So like I said, just research people, just find resources like this, for instance, that book there, or there's not just this book here. There's plenty of other books online. There's plenty of websites. There's plenty of YouTube channels. Channels. Who would have thought? There's YouTube channels. Yeah. So, okay. Just so quickly before I move on, I just want to have a look at chat and just make sure. Oh, Laurie Carp's here. G'day, Laurie Carp and Yogi Homestead. I've just noticed both of their names here. So, g'day. And LeAnne, Jesse's on to LeAnne already about the lids. Trish is here to learn. Thanks, Trish. Much appreciated. Sandra's here. G'day, Sandra Stitches. Sandra's a fellow Victorian, and she's actually just probably an hour away from me. So I hope you guys are doing okay up there with the water situation, Sandra. Yeah, it's not been good. All right, I'm just quickly going through chat to make sure I've caught up with everybody. So I think what I'll do first is I might start with Lisa, if Lisa doesn't mind. Yeah, is that all right? Yeah. And what I'll do is I'm going to move Lisa over to the big head person. Oh, that didn't work. There we go. Lisa's the big head person. And the reason I've highlighted Lisa is because Lisa has a freeze dryer. Now, for us here in Australia, freeze drying is a bit of an almost unreachable thing for us because of the cost of having to import a freeze dryer and use one. But for my friends in the United States and Canada, it's a bit more realistic. And I'd love for Lisa just to share her experience on, I guess, what a freeze dryer is, the basics of how it works from your point of view. Like, I'm not asking you to read the manual to everyone, but, like, you stick a tray in and you turn it on, like, do you drag it outside and walk it around the yard a few times first and get it warmed up? Or, yeah, and then maybe possibly just talk to people about the textures and what to do with it after you freeze dried it. So I'll leave Lisa to that, and I'm just going to try and get a couple of pictures happening in the background while Lisa's doing that.
Sounds good. Thank you, Daz. So I'm not going to go through the science of freeze drying. what I love about my freeze dryer is I don't need to stay with it. It's set it and go, and it's done. That's it. That's what I love about it. I don't have to sit and babysit it. And so it literally walks you through the process. It's foolproof walking through the process. There's only one thing that can go glitchy, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. However, it tells you, you hit start on the machine. The machine starts. It has a control pad, which is that green panel up near the top. I hit start. It tells you exactly what to do, like load the food in. It'll say give 15 minutes while it is getting ready and for the food to be loaded in. After 15 minutes, it will tell you load the food, close the drain valve, and hit start. And then it'll double check that you've closed the drain valve, and then it will get freezing. Once it gets freezing, it'll complete that process, and it will start drying. Once it dries, it will start beeping, and it will tell you, do you want extra dry time? You have an option for what you want to do. Automatically, it'll do 2 hours. At least that's what mine does, what I have it set for. And that's it. And so at the end, when it's done with its process, it'll tell you to open the drain valve, and then you check each part of the tray to make sure that everything has actually freeze dried. And so, excuse me, yes, it is similar to a dehydrator in that you want to make sure that everything has, freeze dried appropriately, because if you have something that has not completely dried, for example, if you go to, I break things in half, and if I go to break it in half and I feel something is a little chewy feeling or a little cold in the inside, it has not dried properly. It needs extra drying time. So, and then that's it. And then I move fairly quickly to get it in jars, and I'm going to show you what I do. There's one feature, and forgive me that I don't remember the name, but there is a number on the green pad there, and you have to keep an eye on the numbers. And if the numbers start to exceed X number, which is in the manual, you have to double check, and that means you're not drying a vacuum. So the other thing is, like Glenda at Grace and Fire is saying, excuse me.
While you're just muted for a second, if you have a chance, just answer the question on screen too. Thanks, Lisa.
I don't know. I've never done it. I'm sure you can, because you can freeze dry anything.
Thanks, Lisa.
Yep, no problem. So, like I said about the pressure numbers, you have to make sure, because if it's getting too high, you're not drawing a vacuum. So that'll affect the whole process. It requires a lot of routine maintenance, meaning that you want to be able to wipe out the inside so you don't have mold. You do have to change the oil X number of batches, depending how often you're using it. I think we bought the pitcher that drains the oil and filters it so it can be reused. So there are some really good options for it. I have the medium version. I love the medium version. I am thrilled with the trays, the quality of the trays. They wash up beautifully. I don't dishwash them. I hand wash them. I have the silicone mats that go inside of them. Yes, it's expensive, but for us, it was an investment. So that was our choice and our factor, because we can freeze dry leftovers. There's so much versatility to it. And for the two of us, there's leftovers. We try to eat them all. We try to freeze them, but we really, really, really like it for a lot of different reasons. We tend to buy a bulk produce box. And so one of the things that we like to put in it is, if I get a bunch of, I don't know what's coming in my bulk produce box, so I could have 4 huge onions in it. Well, I do my freeze dried onions, and I can have onion powder and so on. So the good thing about, like Glenda was saying in the chat about freeze-dried food, is it preserves all the nutrients and it can last 25 years. And so I don't have the oil-free pump, Sandy. I did not feel that it was worth it. We took the middle of the road one. There was a cheaper one, a middle of the road, and then the oil-free. And I did read some bad reviews on the oil-free, so that was my choice not to get it for the extra price and cost, because it would have added a lot of money to our complete order. So freeze drying lasts, so dehydrated foods may last like 15 years if they're stored properly. The heat in a dehydrator destroys more nutrients than a freeze dryer would, and a freeze dried food will last about 25 years. That's if it's stored properly. That means that you have to make sure that everything is completely freeze dried. You cannot have moisture in there. And also, you have to worry about temperature, light, all the things you think about. So one of the things that the freeze dryer comes with, and you can buy additional of, is Mylar bags. And so that's what a Mylar bag looks like. And so the Mylar bags are open when you get them. They have a Ziploc bag on the top. I'm sorry, Ziploc. That's okay.
I'm trying to rearrange it so you're on the main screen and I cannot get it to work. Sorry.
Drag me over to the middle. That may help.
Sorry, everybody.
That's all right. I think you have to stop.
Oh, I can pick my nose.
Man, stop picking your nose.
Nope, I cannot get. Oh, you know what? Hang on. I'll just stop sharing for a second. That's what I'll do.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
And sorry, everybody.
That's all right. So, I mean, this is the bag that came with it. You can get any Mylar bags, apparently, except on Amazon nowadays, from what I understand. Mylar bags will store longer. I don't prefer to use them, and the reason why is because you know what it's like to have a pantry full of these and have to read the labels and the dates and all of that. I mean, I have, you know how you buy those foil containers and they come with the clear plastic tops? I take the clear plastic tops, turn them over, and stack these in it so they don't fall down. But as you can imagine, you can't, it's like every time you move stuff, it's just, you know? So I do have these and I do use these for certain things. The other thing is once I open these, I like to be able to vac seal it back up if I don't use all the contents. So this was like one of my first batches, which was celery. And so I have that. And I do have a lot of bags because, again, they came through with it. Excuse me. One of the things that I like to use are mason jars. And the reason why I like mason jars is because, first of all, I'm storing it in a cool, dark place anyway. So that's fine. And I don't have to put an oxygen absorber in with my mason jar, and it will last a while, probably up to a year or more with it vac sealed. I prefer to put the oxygen absorber in there because I want it to last longer. So these are cherry tomatoes that we grew.
May I just interrupt just for a second?
Yeah.
Just for everybody out there, when using oxygen absorbers, I just wanted to point out that to the best of my knowledge, if you're going to use an oxygen absorber in with your dehydrated or any dried foods, you need to make sure that you have less than 10% moisture in the product in the container, whether it's a jar, a Mylar bag. If you go over 10% moisture, there's serious risk of just bad things happening with the moisture in the food. So yeah, just with oxygen absorbers, just do your research, and I'm pretty sure it's either 10% and less or less than 10%. Now, 10% is going to be hard for you to judge. You can't be exact. So obviously do like the snap test and things like that, and just try to make sure that things are as dry as possible. when using oxygen absorbers. Sorry, Lisa, I just really wanted to point out that fact in case people didn't know.
No, that's really important. So the other thing is that you want to make sure you're using the right size like absorbers, and you're using the correct number of them in the vessel that you're using. I'm going to defer to online for all that. Because probably, I'm going to be honest with you, what I'm doing is actually overkill, meaning that I'm using more than I need in my jars because I'd rather be safe. In fact, while I was talking, I knocked the lid off this. That was my own thing. So I'm going to toss this. It's jalapenos. I hate it, but I'm going to toss it because I don't want anything happening to it. I don't want to die from it. But here's homegrown onions. And that's my oxygen absorber in there. And so these are from this year.
That is so cool.
And these are calendula petals that I'll be using in soap and oil.
No, they're awesome.
So what I did with these was I let them dry out naturally for quite some time. And then to finish them off, I put them in the freeze dryer to make sure they were completely dry. And then I broke them apart and put them in the jar. These are homegrown potatoes that are diced. Let me just, my fingernails are filthy, sorry.
I'd love to try them.
Cleaning barns today. These are bunching onions, green onions, whatever you want to call them. I also have onion tops. And then I have homegrown bell peppers. And then I have a bunch more, but I'm just showing you the ones that I could get to easily. These are shredded hash brown potatoes. And
very cool.
For a lot of these, I'm looking to add them to a recipe that will not need a lot of water. What do I mean by that? I'm not looking to rehydrate them and fry peppers. So I want to use them in soups, stews. I want to use them in casseroles. Those are all things that already have natural liquid. I might add just a touch more to be able to do it. And so that works really good. You can close it back up again, and I was going to get to that. So just give me 1 second, and if I don't get to it, yell at me and tell me to get to it. But that's why I don't worry about the size of the jar, right? Because what I do is I fill the jar and then I vac seal it with my vac sealer, and it works out perfectly. And then I make sure that I've got a seal. And then obviously when I open it, it's just like a canning jar. I should hear that pop when I open it. Otherwise, there's something wrong. You can also, that's my finger tapping on it, but there's no movement on my jar. It's been sealed. So clearly, even though this one I thought was sealed is not, and I can tell you that I'm feeling that the peppers are a little pliable. That's why I don't want to use them. And I'm glad they're jalapenos because I don't feel bad throwing them out. But
actually,
I do have different size bags.
Yep. And also, if I just go back to Annette
Yep.
had a question. Camporium, Annette. There we go.
Okay. Let me just go back to the first question about reusing
sure.
it. So what I do, if I say I only need half of this jar, just to go back to that question, I take half of this out, I put that in my measuring cup or whatever, my bowl, and I quickly seal this back up. I do it right away because I don't want any moisture getting in. Now, it's not like, oh my gosh, I need to run around my kitchen and do it, but I know if I'm using this stuff, I have my vac sealer in my pantry. It's easy because I actually have a dog food container that is like a plastic container, and I set my vac sealer on it, and so that way I can seal it right back up in the pantry, and I'm good to go. So I hope that answered your question. The Cow Emporium asked what?
Oh, no, sorry. I just wanted to make sure that I just want to acknowledge this question that was popping up. No, oxygen absorbers are definitely there to absorb oxygen, to make it an oxygen-free environment. And if there is moisture, that's where you can have a problem with the oxygen absorbers. So that's what I was saying about the keeping it under 10%, because you can't have moisture in your long-term storage. It's just, it can cause problems. So yeah, oxygen absorbers are strictly to make it a vacuum, like I've got some here, to make it a vacuum seal. Oh.
See? This is the problem.
How is that for live?
Is girl eating all that?
Somebody clip that. I've got to. Oh, that's so going into a YouTube video later. So, yeah. So there's one that obviously just popped as I handled it, but
somebody needs fridge jar lids. Just saying, fridge jar lids.
That was I used 4 jar lids on this one.
Oh man, I promise I did not set that up. That it was so funny.
Oopsie.
Hey, on the good side, I get to eat some dehydrated corn.
Oh, nice.
All right. I'm just
quick,
going
kids,
to
corn for a snack.
Yeah, and as someone mentioned, girl is actually outside. She'd be loving it right now. All right. I'm going to get myself off camera for a second while I decorn myself. So if you ladies just wouldn't mind holding the fort for the moment. I've got corn in my keyboard and my desk and my floor and my man place. I have a corn problem. So, that was so funny.
I can't stop smiling. My mouth hurts.
Oh man, that was hilarious. Yes, it was, Anne. All right, so for everyone, sorry, I'm just going to disappear for a second. And
Daz, you're corny right now.
Oh no, LeAnne. Oh, hang on. Wait
it's
for
better than being cheesy.
Wait. Oh, look. There you go. And one for Blue. There you go. Hang on. What? All right. I'm seriously, I'm covered in corn right now. So
go ahead,
yeah,
go take care of it. We got you covered.
Yeah. I'll be back in a sec, everybody.
So,
and I better mute myself so you don't hear the colorful language. Sorry.
So Annette at the Cow Emporium, I'm sorry, I'm trying to go up and I can't see your comment. So if you want to just let me know what your comment is, again, I apologize.
I think Glenda was asking if you had different size bags, Marlar bags.
Yeah, Sandy was asking that, and I said, yes, I have this size and I have a much larger. I just, you know what? The more you have bags and you go to stack them, I'm not liking the stackability of them, and I'm not liking not being able to see things. Like I like when I walk in and I'm looking for peppers. That being said, these do last longer. But people use these and they'll put rice and stuff in them, and they'll use the oxygen absorbers, and you'll see them when they seal it that the bag will actually shrink around the product because they're using a lot of oxygen absorber power in there, so to speak. But I think that the Mylar bags are good if you have a good storage system for it. What is he doing?
He's showing you what the oxygen absorber in the Mylar bag.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want to interrupt Lisa's talking. I just wanted to show a Mylar bag how it sucked. That's peas. How it sucks around the product.
Yeah. See, mine didn't suck around the product.
He's showing you what corn should look like in a Marlar bag.
Yeah, probably.
I'm
I
not
won't
on
show you
his
what
lap.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I won't show you what it looks like on my lap.
Yes, correct, Glenda. They usually put the bags in a 5-gallon bucket. Absolutely. So like this one didn't shrink, but I can feel it. Like it's sealed. The other thing I don't like is once I open these, then I feel like I don't like to be able to seal it. I'd have to use it a lot quicker. That's why I like the jars over the bags. When it comes to
sorry, I'm jumping off screen. I'm going to be too distracting. I'm sorry.
It's okay. When it comes to rice and stuff like that, I like to just I like to just vac seal it. I get dried beans and I vac seal it in a bag. Obviously, you don't need to freeze dry that because it's already dried stuff. And yes, Sandy, I thought it was really awesome. That was really cool about that. And then somebody else said something. The sealer, Glenda, do you mean the sealer for the Mylar bag or do you mean the sealer for the vac sealer? Because the sealer for the Mylar bag is a heat sealer. And it's comparable to like a flat... I've seen people use flat hair irons for Mylar bags. But yeah, this is literally a sealer. I put this in it like this, and I put it between obviously the two pieces, and I go like that, and it heat seals it. Once I break that, then I have a Ziploc kind of seal here, if that makes sense. I have... Cindy, I will look in a minute and I will let you know. But otherwise, I use the vac sealer with the accessory attachment. Ladies, let me look quick at my brand and I will let Cindy know.
We get you.
Okay.
We got you. Well, Blue, you haven't said anything since we started, so you want to say anything?
I'm still waking up.
I hear you.
I'm still waking up, which is why I'm so quiet. Yeah, I was saving my awakeness.
I have a food saver. Do you want to see it, Cindy? Or here's my other bag. Here's the other size. Oop. Here, hold on. So you can see the difference in sizes.
Mm-hmm.
Dad,
Daz, are you all decorned? Yeah. I think
so
you got stuck in his horn.
Wow. Cindy, if you want to see it, I have it right here. I could show it to you.
Oh.
No.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Sorry if I just interrupted you, Lisa.
That's all right. I'm going to go close my door because she doesn't want to see my vac sealer, which is okay.
Oh, really? Ew.
Well.
Oh man. So yeah, I apologize everyone for that. That was hilarious. I've still got corn everywhere. And then to top it off, while I disappeared off screen, I ran out into the kitchen to get a container that I could save the corn that was on the desk here. And one of my kids heard me. I must have made some sort of noise. I don't know. They heard me and went and jumped online and rewound the live stream, and they're out there cacking themselves at me. I was like, what? And they're like, yeah, I saw what happened. So, yeah. I have a corn collection.
No worries, Cindy. I was joking with you. It's not an inconvenience at all. Basically, all it is it's a food saver that has an accessory port. And of course, it doesn't come with the accessories. So you have to buy, what I did was I bought the kit that goes with it, and it comes with a wide mouth and a regular mouth sealer. I did buy the same brand because I did talk to people who bought no-name brands, and they said they had trouble with them, especially with the hoses working because it's attached by a hose. And so we use that. And I will say that, like all the reviews online, the regular mouth jars are harder to seal than the wide mouth. I have to literally hold on to the regular ones and push on them. Whereas the wide mouth, I could do it and walk away and there's no issues whatsoever. But I absolutely love the ease and convenience. Somebody also asked if you could reseal the bags using the back sealer. Probably. To me, I'm just not anti-Mylar bags. I don't like them in the pantry. I don't. I prefer to be able to see stuff.
Regular mouth lids, when you're trying to use them on the jars and the vacuum sealer, it's a good idea to try to use 2 at the same time, and the top one will just come off. The one on the bottom will obviously stay sealed. But from what I've heard, 4-jar lids seal better than ball lids.
You are correct. You are correct. And I am using 4-jar lids. However, they are coming off these little jars in their regular mouth. But for canning, they've been stellar.
And I don't recommend tipping a jar of corn upside down on a live stream either.
Yeah, that's what happens with the jalapenos.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. That's actually, I have to say, in the time that I've been dehydrating and back sealing and everything, that's actually my first fail that I've ever had, and it just happened to be in front of everybody. But yeah, so look, while I'm at it, I might as well say that it's a really good point that for anyone out there that's new to canning, preserving, and everything, even though you might put things away for long-term storage, you still need to check it. You need to check those seals. I personally, you hear people, there's a bit of a debate about leaving the rings on and off. I'm a big fan of taking the rings off when you store them, because that way you get a true idea of, like, see now, if I it's not sealed. It's okay, LeAnne, it's not upside down.
I'm sorry to hear, Tiny Tim.
So if it had a ring...
Can we say
Tiny Tim,
that we...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to... Tiny Tim stopped in. We just wanted to give him our condolences about the passing of his father.
So sorry.
Oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know. Hang on. I'm behind in chat really bad.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Tim.
Yes.
Oh, man. Sorry, Tim. I'm sincerely sorry, mate. My condolences, and just all the best to you, man. He's such a lovely person.
Daz is frozen on YouTube, but not on Melon, so that's weird.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I'm just having the best live stream ever.
I think you should be emailing those people.
Yeah. And Annette, that's a great idea. To me, it's just another thing, but I think it's a great idea. And it's funny because my go-to is not to do candy with it. Sorry, guys. It's not. It's a lot of fun. Everybody loves the candy. I've done marshmallows just because I thought it was fun to do. And they are addictive, I will say that. But candy is not my go-to. I do food. Because quite honestly, I don't need the candy.
Who does?
Eat it. I don't. Yeah, I want food in my pantry for long-term, eating. I really don't want tons of candy because it'll just get eaten and we don't need it.
I'd sell it. I'd take it to the market and sell it and pay for the freeze dryer with it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, I can.
That would be me, but
Lisa, Sandy's really hurt that you won't do Skittles for her.
I will do Skittles for Sandy. Oh, I can do anything in it. But Sandy, I'll do Skittles just for you.
Yeah. Oh man, look.
For me, it's paying for itself because my pantry's full. Yep. I mean, that's the thing is I can sit there and I can take, leftover chicken meat. I can take, leftover potatoes, I can take all that stuff. And to me, it's stuff is not getting wasted. So that's how it pays for itself, is that I'm not wasting food.
Jesse wants to make his own Lucky Charms.
I know. We were talking about that last night on the live. Although Glenda's pumpkin spice marshmallows look really good. No. I know that, Annette. I know what you meant. You meant hang them in the stores. No, I think it's a great way to organize it. Somebody else was talking about candy too.
All right. Well, man, that was awesome. And
so can I just add one more thing?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't have my mashed potatoes with me. So in fact, Tony, I just looked over and I saw Tony asked it. Great minds think alike. So you can do lean fats in it. You can freeze dry things. So I did my mashed potatoes and I chose to do them with oil. With half and half, which is my equivalent of milk because I don't often have milk in the house. And butter. So there's the oil, there's the fat, right? We had both of those.
This is a test donation for $21.
I added it to the potatoes. That reduces the shelf life when you do that. But I wasn't concerned about reducing my shelf life by 25 years. I just wanted to reduce it to get through the year. I was preserving my harvest, if that makes sense. So I did that just as a trial run, and that's great. Next time, what I will do with mashed potatoes is I will just cook them and mash them. Freeze dry them, and then put them in the jars and add the milk and the butter later on. But right now, all I do is add some boiling water to it. You can do beef jerky. It just will not last as long as something with no oil and no fat. So, for example, if you're going to get 25 years out of something, the minute you put the oils and the fats in there, you may only get 10 years. You may only get 15 years. It may only last 12 months. So it's one of those things that you have to watch, and it depends on how much fat you put in it. So I don't see the need to do my meat. I would end up canning my meat if I needed to, but if I have leftover meat, I can say, for example, pick turkey off the carcass after we had a roast turkey. There's nothing on it, no skin. We could freeze dry that, and then we've got it. So thank you very much.
And use your 4-jar lids.
Excuse me.
Oh my God.
So yeah, look, everyone, again, I apologize sincerely for the alerts being stuck on screen. I'm trying madly here to get rid of them, and I can't. So I apologize. It's distracting, and I'm sorry about that. At least I've got Nightbot turned off in the chat, so that's one thing. All right, so Lisa, that was absolutely sensational. Thanks so much.
Yep, you're welcome. And I do want to adjust. I was just looking this up while we were talking. I don't have to toss these because I know that I just recently opened these. So what I'm going to do is put a lid on these, but I will take a close look at them. And the reason why I don't have to toss them is I have an oxygen absorber in there. I literally just had this open last weekend. So, and that's because obviously jalapenos, I don't have many. So I was just looking up online that I could salvage it. So I will put the screw cap on. So I will be right back.
Now for all the Aussies out there, actually for everybody out there, I said Aussies because what I'm going to say is last week I saw, speaking of freeze drying, there's somebody over here that's got a freeze dryer and they're making a business of selling lollies / candy, as they say overseas, that are freeze dried. But for the Aussies over here, I saw someone selling freeze dried paddle pops at like $8 a pop. For people overseas, a paddle pop is basically an ice cream on a stick. Look at Blue's face. Blue knows exactly what I'm talking about. So yeah, I so wanted to get one, but I mean, how could I justify paying $8 for a single icy pole on a stick or ice cream on a stick plus shipping? It was, but yeah, paddle pops freeze dried. They look so cool.
But it's a freeze dried paddle pop.
But it's an $8. It's an $8
it,
freeze dried item that costs less than $1 to buy by itself.
But it won't rip down your arm.
Actually, well, that's true. Now, this one here, Vegemite, Rochelle Brampton Gardner. If you go to Blue Collar Homestead, Blue Collar, they actually freeze dried Vegemite. They spread it out and they freeze dry it, and then they actually taste some to see what it tastes like. So I think they actually did ice cream sandwiches as well. They did a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah, Blue Collar Homestead, they actually did freeze dry Vegemite. Okay, now that was awesome, and thanks so much to Lisa for that great talk about the freeze drying. If LeAnne wouldn't mind being the center of attention, I would love to talk about dehydrating and making powders and you name it. So yeah, I've got to say, I came across LeAnne's channel just over a year ago when I was looking at dehydrating and stuff like that. And I saw LeAnne's collection of powders and I thought I was doing okay with these little jars. And then LeAnne rocks up in this video with like, so here's my strawberry powder and this like big keg looking thing. And I'm like,
it's a quart-sized jar. Two of them.
LeAnne was like this, everybody. It was like, can someone help me carry this, please? It was just huge.
Do you know how many strawberries it took to make 2/3 of the way full quart jars of strawberry powder? 15 quart. 15 of strawberries that I got for free.
Yeah, and sorry, LeAnne, I'm trying to get rid of this chat thing off the screen as well. I'm just having the worst luck with these alerts.
But I love Streamlabs.
I tell you what, pushing my luck. So dehydrating's obviously a more affordable option to everyone for that dry long-term storage, because as I was saying earlier to Kelly, all that fluff and stuff in chat, who's in Queensland, Australia, it's going to cost us roughly $8,000 to import the freeze dryer that Lisa's got here to Australia. That's a lot of money. That's a huge investment for us to just, dry some freeze dry food and store it away. So for us in Australia, for instance, we're better off looking at dehydrating, which is what I do, and I love doing it, and should never turn my jars upside down when talking about them. Although they should be properly sealed, so they should be able to do that. But
I just wanted to say that
yes.
I'm glad I was muted, because when I went off screen, I decided to put my jars away now, real quick.
Oh no!
I didn't want to knock them off my desk, and I dropped one. It didn't open. No, it didn't open.
Oh wow!
And I'm glad I was muted.
I
was really worried for a minute there that the stream was going to stop.
I don't know how I didn't get myself banned on YouTube at that moment where I poured the corn in my parts, because I tell you what, I was thinking things that I shouldn't be saying on YouTube. Got away with that one. Where to begin, Homestead? G'day and welcome to the live stream. Okay, so I'm just going to, LeAnne, I'm going to go take care of this chicken in a good way.
She wants corn.
She wants to come inside. She can hear me talking. So
she can smell that corn.
Yeah, that's right. So, LeAnne, if you'd like to, if you don't mind, just give the basics on dehydrating for anyone here that's maybe new and thinking about it. And we'll sort of go from there. Thanks.
Well, first off, with dehydrating, I was looking at these comments. If you want to get started, start with herbs, because they're the easiest to And the cheapest, actually, if you're going to dehydrate them, and if they don't turn out right, it's not going to be any skin off your back. And I think herbs for me was the gateway drug to. Did that not come out right?
Good old LeAnne. You can always rely on you, LeAnne.
Like
what herbs are you putting in there, LeAnne?
We know what you mean. We know what you mean.
Just oregano and basil and thyme. I refuse to do thyme anymore because those little leaves, they just, no. I'm just saying, if you want to get your feet wet into dehydrating, herbs is a great way to go. Like, I'm still going to get motivated here to do potatoes because I've heard about them being black. But to get started, you want to actually just read the manual that came with your dehydrator. Don't just assume you can just throw something on the dehydrator trays and it's going to come out dry. I've learned that from my mistakes. You know, some things need blanched before you put them on the trays, and some things need peeled before you put them on the trays. I dehydrated, I don't know how many pounds of squash without feeling it. And you know what? It went all in the trash because that skin got tight and nasty. Like it was eating like the pith off a lemon. Wow. So yeah, you got to make sure you understand how to prepare the food before you put it on the dehydrator trays and not just assume you know what you're doing.
Can we also maybe, sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
Maybe that's a great time to also point out to people new to dehydrating that you need to make sure your food is clean. You need to get it into the sink. Make sure your sink's clean to start with. I know that sounds obvious, but it really, you'd be surprised that some people just don't give it a thought. You need to, because what you're doing there is going to go into these containers. So you really need to give the sink a good scrub, make sure it's clean, then give your items a good scrub and make sure they're clean before you go then peel them, cut them, slice them, whatever. Just hygiene's really important. And yeah, it's just, I know it's obvious, but you know, you're in a hurry or maybe you might be a little intimidated. It's your first time. Just start with hygiene and work from there. Sorry, LeAnne.
No, absolutely. No. When I was showing that in my videos, I was just like, well, this is just too dumb. Like, but I'm like, I don't want to assume anything that people may or may not know. So that's why in my canning videos, you will see me scrubbing my sink. And my subscribers now say, hey, you didn't show scrubbing the sink in this video. I'm like, are you serious? Then they're like, where's your apron? I'm like, oh. So they're getting on me because they want me to role model food safety, which, you know, if I'm going to practice, you know, preach it, I might as well practice it, right? So, like Daz is saying, you want to make sure you are practicing food safety, handling, and make sure you're not dehydrating eggs. That is a no-no. Because of the something. I just know it is not safe practice to dehydrate eggs. Even though you can see it on YouTube, it's not safe. So the manual will tell you how to prepare each item that you want to dehydrate. And there's some things like celery, you can get away without blanching it first. It just depends on what you want for your end product. Because sometimes the blanching is just to bring out the color. And we eat with our eyes, so to speak.
Yep. That's interesting. Just here, Rochelle, dehydrating banana. Banana's been a bit of a fail for a lot of people with dehydrating. And yeah, that's cool that you get yours right because I tried it once and never again. Never again. I was thinking that I could make banana chips like you can get from the store. And no, I failed miserably and never again.
And
That's
I
because
have
they do stuff with
dehydrated,
them first.
and I have dehydrated dill pickles from my canning shelves, just because they were just too mushy and I couldn't stand them. So I'm going to take those dehydrated dill pickles and turn them to the dill pickle powder. What can you do with that? That's for popcorn and anything else that you want dill pickle on.
Corn that you spilled all over your computer.
Yeah.
That would taste yummy.
Seasoning.
Does that actually happen?
What? Your corn spilling over your pants?
Yeah. Who does that?
So, yeah, you just want to follow your manual and follow the procedures to how to prep your product for the dehydrator, and make sure you're taking it out of the dehydrator when it is completely dry and putting it in an airtight container. Because if you live in a humid area like I do, it will reconstitute in the dehydrator. Ask me how I know.
How do you know, LeAnne?
Let's
So
just
I
see.
think. Oh no! After you.
Well, I was gonna say I've had mold go on my I dehydrated bell peppers that I canned because I thought it was mush and thought I would have better luck using it. Well, it wasn't completely dry and I got mold on it.
Okay. So for just on what LeAnne was talking about with taking them out, I think it's important that people know there's a term, I believe the term is conditioning. And essentially what happens is if you're new to dehydrating, it's fantastic. You're excited because you've got these nice, crisp, warm, pieces of carrot or whatever. But you need to let them, as LeAnne said, cool down. And the conditioning part is just giving them time to get rid of that heat. And if you put something hot into a jar, something warm into the jar, you've got chances of condensation and moisture, and that's where you're going to have a lot of problems. So,
you mean pathogens starting to grow?
Exactly. So you don't want.
I didn't want to make that obvious.
So yeah, you don't want to make yourself and other people sick, and it's not good having mold growing inside with your food. That's not supposed to happen. So again, I just really wanted to point out that when storing, not only is hygiene at the start so important, but when taking things out and going to store them, you have to make sure they've cooled down. Don't ever use warm or hot things put warm or hot things straight into a container and seal it up for any storage.
And note Daz's placement of his finger on the jar lid now.
I don't know what you mean, Lisa.
Yeah, and sanitation is important with freeze drying too. Just wanted to point that out. Like some of the things that I've tried to say in my video is that we have flies in the house because we have livestock. And so the reality of it is I have flies landing on my counters. So I try to clean everything off and then I cover my trays with a towel. So I don't have that stuff. But you do the best you can, but it's just as important.
Yeah. Now, something about dehydrating, which a lot of people don't talk about, is unfortunately, I don't have any examples here, is for me as a chef's side of it, I guess, a cook chef's side of things is with dehydrating, it's not just storage and things like that and being able to make powders and use powders, but also what I do, and I've spoken about a lot of times on live streams in my videos, is that I love to dehydrate tomatoes, dehydrate jalapenos, and then what I'll do is actually use them in my cooking. How to explain it? For the texture. So I guess the best example is, say, a hamburger. What I'll do is if we're doing homemade hamburgers, I'll take a dehydrated, or more than one, I'll take slices of dehydrated tomato and I'll place that onto, say I don't do it, but say I put mayonnaise on my burger bun. I'll put the tomato onto the mayonnaise or a sauce that I have, and straight away that sauce, that moisture is going to react with the dehydrated tomato, and it's going to start to give it a slightly leathery type of texture. And then with the jalapenos, I like to get the jalapenos and either put them on, they'll be chopped, sliced, sprinkle them on, again, where there's moisture, or I'll grind them with my fingers and sprinkle those really rough flakes onto it. And then what happens is that by the time you go to eat your burger or steak sandwich, for instance, you've got this slightly chewy texture of the tomato or jalapeno, but you've got that intense flavor where it's been dehydrated right down and the flavor's a lot more intense. And with the tomato, for instance, it's like little bites of tomato paste. It's incredible. And I encourage people to have a go and try different things with, like I said, I don't have examples here, but like the corn here, for instance, I was just eating some before and the flavor is a lot more intense. So just have a bit of fun with it too. And like, make sure you seal things back properly and do things like that. But yeah, you can actually have fun with dehydrated ingredients and use those textures and flavors as well. It's good fun.
And since you're taking the water out of the food, the flavor will be more intense.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Especially when you're using powders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, Daz, I want to demonstrate something. This is a band and a lid. This is a jar.
Second. Hang on, wait. Let me put you. Here we go, just so I can make sure I pay attention.
This is a jar lid and a ring. It's going on the jar. And I'm screwing it on. And look. Nothing's falling out.
Yes, but that's a very good point. But as I was saying, when it comes to storage, I won't do that. Because when it comes to storage, you want to be able to, as I said, here, sorry, my thing's going very slow. With my lid, look at that. I didn't even touch that. If that happens in your pantry and you don't check your, it's up the right way, Lisa. If you don't check your food regularly, people, everybody, and that happens, you're going to lose all that food, and you've gone to all that effort to store it and preserve it and everything, and
Or
you're
going to die.
Or exactly. So look at this here. Here's some canned meat. That's canned beef, and it's got no ring on it because could you imagine if that ring? Oh, I'm not turning this one upside down. Trust me, this is going the right way up, everybody. No way in the world. But seriously, if this lid had come, the lid on there had come loose a little bit, and I'd not known, and I've quickly gone into the pantry and gone, everyone, we're having meat tonight. Tomorrow, there's no one to tell me about how it tasted. They're all,
So can you tell us how you check the jar to make sure you have a proper seal on it before you open it?
I don't want to do it with the canned meat, but I check for the clicking is one thing. And I just give it a tap with my finger like this. And then, no, I won't. I was going to say I also give it a bit of a tip, but I don't want to send the wrong message. So essentially, I will check the top. Yeah. I'll check the top for the clicking sound, and I'll give the lid a bit of a push. And like, for instance, now, look, if I push that and the lid comes off, well, then that gets used straight away or gets thrown out. I mean, if I remove the lid. But if the lid's loose, chuck it, everybody. Don't try and use it straight away. That didn't come out right. Just if the lid's loose, chuck it. Don't try and save it. Don't try and think about the money you've lost. Just get rid of it. Never try and save products.
And there's some things I've opened and wasn't quite sure that the seal was still good. I have eaten at least 2 things in the last 2 years that gave me stomach problems. Just because I was not aware that the seal was not good.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure people are aware that they need to be aware of when they're opening the jar to make sure that there is a good seal.
Yeah. So in case I didn't explain it properly, the reason I was saying to remove the ring is because the ring is holding down the lid. So you could go pushing the lid with the ring on it, and the lid's not going to move anywhere. You could probably do the clicking thing, and it will click, maybe, but you don't want to rely on that, especially when you've got something like meat, canned meat. You don't play games with this stuff. That's why that sits under pressure for, say, an hour and a half, and you watch the little jiggler and things like that. You can't mess with things like this. No shortcuts, guys. You seriously can't. All right. Well, then I think that's the basics. Actually, what I did want to do was just for people new to dehydrating, I'm just trying to share a screen at the moment. I'm going to bring up.
I wanted to touch further into the conditioning part.
Oh, yeah, sure, LeAnne. Yep. Just as I'll put.
When you.
Yep. Sorry. Hang on. I'm trying to drag you up. Hang on. Oh, hang on. Let me cancel that and move that. There you go. Sorry, LeAnne.
All right. So, sorry, I got to find my camera. When you're conditioning your product, you want to make sure your jar is not completely full because you want to be able to shake your jar and make sure it's all loose. Because if it's sticking to each other, that means your product is still not completely dry. And you want to be shaking your jar every day for 7 days. And you want to be checking to see if it's sticking to each other. And that way, at the end of 7 days, that's when you can put it back on your shelf. But if it's sticking, put it back in the dehydrator.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm distracting myself at the moment because if I've missed a message on screen, I apologize, everybody. I'm just trying to bring up some pictures because I just wanted to share. I just wanted to share with everybody that's new to dehydrating and canning, for instance, that these are the attachments that you can get where you can basically attach one end of the hose here to your vac seal machine. And then the other end of the hose goes into the top of either of these lids. One's a wide mouth and one's a standard size lid. And then that will vac seal your jar. And then you should be able to turn your jars of corn upside down on a live stream and not have the corn fall out because it's got a nice vacuum seal. And then for anyone else new to, let me just go to this picture. Hang on. Wrong one. Let me go back. Gotta love being live. No, not that. Oh, I'm doing well, aren't I? Not that. That. So for anyone that wants to consider dehydrating, there's entry level dehydrators, such as this one here. And these are like the little round ones that you can use. And they're okay, but with these ones, what you need to do is it's best to rotate, or you probably will have to rotate the shelving. You'd be lucky if you could get a whole bunch of dehydrating done without rotating those shelves. And then if you want to spend a little bit more money, you go for something like this. This would be like a mid-range type of unit, which is mine's very similar to this. In fact, it looks like the one that I've got is like this, and maybe the factories all have a base model that they all use. And this has a fan at the back, and there's a big fan that sucks in air, heats it up, and blows it through the unit. And then if you look at the top of it, there's a little vent here. Mine's actually bigger. And that's where the hot air comes out of the top of it. And that's drying out all the food and getting rid of that moisture. So these are probably the mid-range ones where I still rotate my shelves when I use my one like this, but you can get away with not having to rotate as much as the rounder units. And then I don't have a picture, but you do have the more expensive units that will have all sorts of optional extras and a bit more flexibility with the control panels and stuff like that. Sorry, did anybody want to add anything?
I wanted to add that you really should have a dehydrator that has a thermostat, and because certain things like herbs should be dehydrated at 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and vegetables should be dehydrated at 125, and meat should be dehydrated at like 160. So
absolutely.
Don't go with one fits all.
Yeah. So I guess that's another thing too, is that sorry if I try, I'm hiding everyone's faces no matter what I do here. So for people new to dehydrating, it's really important that you do your research. And as LeAnne said, you need to understand that all the different foods have different temperatures. It's not one size fits all. If you're doing beef jerky, for instance, you really need to make sure that you're at a high temperature where you're going to be able to keep things warm, but not at a deadly level, if that's a bit harsh, but that's what it is. So all foods have different temperatures, so that's something you need to research. Now, just on temperatures, I just want to show an example. If I go and stop sharing that and move myself over here. Okay. So I don't know if I can show this properly on here. Now, see how the one on the right is brown and the one on the left is more of a yellow color? Can you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
No, you're frozen.
I'm frozen?
I'm glad you noticed that. On YouTube, you're frozen, but on Melon, you're not.
I'm looking at Melon, you're frozen.
Oh, man.
It's okay. Give it a minute. It'll
I guess I am not frozen.
All right, so I just said in chat that I'm still here. I don't know what's going on.
I dropped a link to my video on my dehydrators.
Oh, cool.
Video.
I'm still not back on YouTube.
All right. Well, while we're waiting, I just wanted to reinforce the fact that because LeAnne and I were having a conversation about that. Make sure. All right, y'all. I'm going to be real for a minute here. If you're going to buy a dehydrator, buy one with a thermostat on it and with the settings. At the very least, the round ones that don't have the temperature gauge run hot. And so I have one and I used it recently and I was not impressed by it. My Excalibur was so much better because I set it at, 135, for example, whatever I'm supposed to for that particular thing that I'm dehydrating. And I feel good about it. And I know that I'm doing the right thing versus using a round one that I have to spend all this time moving stuff around. And they're doing that to market it so it's cheaper for you, but they don't care if it's worth it for you.
Yeah.
So there's real Lisa. Goodbye.
And to elaborate on what Lisa's saying, if you run it high, like if you would do vegetables and fruit at a higher temperature than it's supposed to be, you're going to lose nutritional value. And what's the point of doing that? Because you're just wasting your food because it's not going to give you the nutrition you need to begin with.
And you're letting companies take advantage of you by allowing them to market subpar machines that are not in line with food preservation.
Yeah. The round one's basically a fancy looking hairdryer. It's basically what it is.
That's true. Yeah, look, I'm sorry. You know what? Blue's been in the background. I'm so sorry, Blue. It's been no, because
it's like a vampire. No,
throw your jars first. Now that you're not frozen.
For anyone that doesn't know, I just really I need to let everyone know and how much I appreciate Blue getting up, being here at 2:00 in the morning. Blue started this live stream, local time for her. Okay, so I thank Blue so much for doing this with us from 2:00 in the morning, her time. All right, so just quickly with the jars, what I was saying was one is slightly brown and one is yellow. They're both lemon powder. So what happened? Yeah, so what's going on here in regards to temperatures is that one of the other effects of dehydrating at the wrong temperature is that lemon powder, for instance, you're not going to preserve that yellow color. So what happened was, actually, I've got a video coming out next week on lemon powder, how to make it, and what to do with your lemons. So please come back to my channel next week and watch my video. Okay. Now, what happened was here, I was dehydrating lemons, and I did everything right. I followed all the rules, the right temperature, but my dehydrator was brand new, and I didn't know that when I turned off the dehydrator, when I stopped the dehydrator, that the temperature gauge resets to maximum. So when I rotated my trays, I stopped it. I don't know why, but I did. And when I stopped it, the temperature went back to maximum. And I didn't know that. So when I put it back on for the next few hours, I came back and my lemons looked very dark. And they weren't burnt, but they just discolored. Now, the flavor is actually fine. I was shocked, but it just looks terrible. So just not only for food safety, which is the main reason you need to watch your temperatures, please do the right thing and learn what temperature you need. But just be careful on, say, whatever dehydrator that you have, that it might reset the temperature on your dehydrator if you stop it at any point, because you can have a disaster and have things either go bad, like over dehydrate, just wreck them, or the color will look terrible at the end. Hope that made sense. So I'm going to quickly have a look at chat, and if for everyone, I keep on saying Blue. I've known Blue for, I guess, a good year or so now. And Blue's always been Blue for me. Blue has always been Blue. It's never been Pam. So by all means,
that's okay.
Feel free to call Pam or Pamela, in case, Pamela, what have you done, Pamela? But
Blue Pixie.
Oh, Blue Pixie. But yeah, I just okay. Sorry, I just want to highlight this question. Okay, if you watch my video next week, I'm going to explain this actual situation right here. So you're just going to have to check out my video and see what the answer is to that question. Oh, look at me getting all promotional and what's the word? Commercial and everything. Terrible. What have I become? No, honestly, I have, how do I explain it?
Can I say it?
Go on, LeAnne. I know LeAnne's busting to say it.
There is a 1.4 million viewed video on dehydrating lemons that is absolutely ridiculous. And he said it was his first time doing it. And he didn't remove the pith. The pith is nasty.
Oh.
Just for my lawyers and solicitors, that was LeAnne's comments and not my own. And anything LeAnne says is on her opinion and not mine. No, I'm kidding.
Just because it's on YouTube doesn't mean it's true.
Exactly. So do your own research, folks, and listen to Daz because he has experience.
No, if you want to know the truth, please refer to Facebook. Everything there's real. No, don't take this seriously, please.
That is the nastiest social media platform.
No.
Just like MySpace.
Anyway.
MySpace was good.
I missed MySpace.
I missed MySpace.
I was never. I just want to say good day to Danny at Wicked Awesome Gardening, please, because Danny is such the loveliest person. And I had the pleasure of watching Danny go on her visit to the HOA, and that was awesome. That was such a good time. I'm glad
I didn't get to watch it.
I wonder why. I wonder who Danny ran into while standing in line. LeAnne, could you help us out there?
No, she didn't run into her. I just walked over and said hi.
And then LeAnne didn't know that Danny was live, and I'm in chat going, LeAnne, hi! And yeah, anyway.
And my phone was buzzing. I'm like, what is going on?
Alex,
going to be rude.
I beg your pardon. Sorry to talk over you.
I wasn't going to be rude.
Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to talk over you. I'm so sorry.
Well, you were texting me, and I'm like, I can't look at my phone while I'm like talking to Danny. Speaking of which, guess he just popped on.
Can I just please say hello to our I'm having problem Englishings. I can't even say that now. I'm having problems Englishing. Okay. Our 5 Acre Homestead, g'day and welcome to the stream. I'm sorry. I've got everything happening from messages stuck on the screen to me freezing to pouring half a jar of dehydrated corn over myself, which was not deliberate. It's been nuts. It's been crazy. And also, our Okie Homestead, I'm so sorry if we've missed you. Thank you so much for being here. And they're quite regular to my live streams, and I just thank them very much for all of their support. Okay, so oh no, Danny accidentally
Yeah, she
Danny
did.
accidentally.
Danny,
Yeah.
StreamYard records things. Like Melon, all of my lives are in Melon, and you have a short while to be able to download them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's StreamYard does the same thing, as my understanding, even with the free version. So
It's been a week since last Friday.
yeah, and I had suggested it too. So it may be there, but you just have to look for it. Because I know with Melon, that's how I do the Homesteading Academy, is I go live without going live, and then I'm able to download it to edit it if needed.
Oh man, I was. Oh man,
I wanted to watch it.
Danny, I'm so sorry. It was. Oh man, I'm gonna make you feel bad by saying it, but it was enjoyable, and to see Danny meet one of her heroes, it was just awesome. And
That was pretty cool.
Which was not me, but you know.
another one of her heroes. I mean, and. But look, Danny got an autograph and got to autograph a book that she wanted autographed. And oh man, I'm so sorry, Danny. Oh man. All right, so
I think we covered dehydrating.
Here we go. I think we covered everything in dehydrating. So look, again, let's get ready, Blue. You're gonna be the big head. Here we go. So again, thank you so much to you, Blue, for being on at 2:00 in the morning and sticking around this long. It's been an hour and 40 minutes now.
It's fine.
I would love for Blue has got the most awesome experience in so much food preservation, just different aspects of it. And if you'd love to just talk to people about your experiences and your knowledge and what you've it's all over to you.
Okay. Well, I use more traditional preserving methods that have been used and around the world for millennia, some of them. And they're based on certain principles. Now, those principles are the main preserving agent, the elements, and the seasons. So, you're looking at your main ingredients for your main preserving agents, which would be sugars, oils, fats, salt, acids, vinegars, alcohol, and fermentation or bacteria. So for cheese making and things like that. And then when you're looking at the elements, you're looking at air, earth, fire, and water. So, with air, you're looking at wind, drying, but they do kind of swap over as well. Some preservation methods use burying things. I haven't done a lot of that. I'm quite pleased about not doing a lot of that. But like, for example, fire would be the sun or would be smoke, but the smoke would be a crossover with air and that kind of thing. But a lot of it's to do with preserving at the right time of year as well, if you use those methods. For example, you don't want to preserve your ham in spring. Anything that's like a high fat content, stuff like that, you want to be doing air dry and smoking and stuff like that over winter, so that it's got a cooler place to do its main preservation thing. I mean, there are some hams that have been around for 25 to 50 years that are used, traditional, preserving methods. So I use those rather than, I do some water bathing, very, very rarely. I tend to use hot packing more than anything. But I definitely don't use pressure canning. To be honest, pressure canning for me is way out of price range. There's only one company in this country now that sells pressure canners, and they're anywhere between 320 and 450 pounds each. And that's not including postage and handling. That's not including jars. That's not including lids. That's more than a good percentage of people who live in this country's monthly income. And there's no way that something like that's going to take off unless you're earning silly money at this point. So people in this country have been using traditional preserving methods for a very, very long time. So when it comes down to doing things like pickles, we use vinegar, onion vinegar in a jar on the shelf. And that's pretty much how it works. The same with meats and fish and stuff like that. You've got a bot, mate.
Yep. Thank you.
I got it.
Thanks, Lisa. I was just trying to copy down the link for nothing. I mean, I was trying to get rid of it too. Yeah.
It's gonna show in the chat, but but I've blocked it and I've hidden the person.
Yep, thank you. Sorry, just since we've got a minor interruption, for everyone, particularly in the United States, I guess in Canada too, if you're not aware, I just wanted to make it clear that for us in the rest of the world, pressure canning has never been a thing. It's not. It's pressure canning is very much an American thing, and so like we won't get into the politics and everything and stuff like that, but just let me clearly state that I understand you guys have the SDA and what they say is what they recommend, and I'm 100%. You listen to what they say and you make your own informed decision. But I just did want to point out that from Blue and myself, we come from another part of the world where pressure canning, I had to import mine from the United States, but pressure canning is just not a thing in the rest of the world. And so I just wanted to point that out, that if you see, what's the word for it? I've gone blank, but yeah, I just wanted to try and convey to everyone in the United States in particular that pressure canning is so common over there, but it's not everywhere else in the world. It really is. We just don't do it. So yes, sorry to interrupt, Blue, but
that's okay.
I thought that was something that, we should maybe point out to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's there's how do I do soups? I make them as I go. I very rarely can or water bath anything like that. I don't see the point. I do stocks from time to time, but we tend to use them up pretty quickly. Or I'll dehydrate stocks, and that kind of thing. But I tend to make soups and things from scratch rather than, can them and things like that, because we only usually make what we're going to eat in that week. Otherwise, we know ourselves, like Tanny and I, we get bored within a couple of days and it'll end up in the freezer in a box at the bottom of the freezer, and the next year we'll be looking at it going, what's in the box? We don't really sort of, but I mean, like I said, I do water bathing from time to time, but it tends to be vegetable based. I prefer charcuterie methods and proper traditional preserving methods for meats and sausages and things like that, rather than freezing them, because I don't like taking up the room in the freezer with meat. because we only have a small freezer. I mean, if some of you may have seen it, it's basically about 2.5 feet wide, square. It's not very big, and we have the small freezer underneath the fridge, but that's for ice cream, man.
We'll need ice cream space.
Well, yeah. So, but I don't tend to. Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple of buckets of stock in the freezer for a while. I used those up the other week. If you guys have seen when I made the soup, but we don't tend to can stuff like that because we don't see the point. I will when I grow my own tomatoes again once the greenhouse is up and all that kind of thing. Obviously, we haven't had a lot of growing this year because we moved. But a lot of that will be dehydrated, but done sun-dried in baskets outside during the summer, because we have probably 22 hours of sunlight here during the summer, during the height of summer. So using that rather than using the dehydrator, even though we're on solar panels, I could use the dehydrator and I might use it for things, but for a lot of the stuff, it'll be done outside using the sun as we can. So yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I just would you mind just clarifying that a little bit more? You're talking about dehydrating with the sun. Would you mind just explaining for anyone that's not familiar with it, the process and the precautions and things like that?
Okay, basically all I do is I get the bamboo. I've got a set of bamboo baskets that are about 3 feet wide that I've got from Asian grocery stores and stuff, because they use them as colanders and sieves and drying racks and all sorts of things. These bamboo baskets are amazing, and because I spent so long in Southeast Asia and places like that, I've kind of picked up on a lot of the practices. Basically, you just cut it up, stick it out in the sun, and there's not a lot of preservation that goes before that. There's not a lot of handling that goes before that. A lot of the stuff, unless it's very specific, is just basically done in the baskets and put outside. I mean, if anyone who's watched any of the Chinese girls like Lizzie Q and others like her, they're hanging veg up in trees to dry it out. They don't worry about whether there's a bird going to come on it or anything like that, because they wash it afterwards. But for them, they're just using whatever is around the place for them. And obviously, you have to look at the health side of things. You have to look at the hygiene side of things. But if you do put something over the top of a rack of drying things in the sun, you're going to stop it from drying out, because you've then got it in the shade. So, but a lot of the dried veg and stuff like that, especially greens, they get dried out as a whole vegetable and then just hung up. So you can hang them up on the washing line even, and just hang them up if you didn't want to put it in a tree. Just pop it up on the washing line, get it until it's completely dried out, and then they wash it out, slightly reconstitute it, but they've just got a small amount of water on it, and then they pickle it. It's salted and pickled, and that's where a lot of those sort of veg come from. And they're able to store for 12 months. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy. And a lot of the meat that they do, where they fat pack it in big terracotta jars and things, that's there for 12 months and more. It doesn't go rancid because it's all pure. It's all from the same animal, and you're not, pig, when they slaughter a pig or something like that, or process a pig, it's all done by the family and friends. They all come around, they all deal with it, they all help with it, and then they move on to the next family, who's doing theirs. So everyone gets to help and everyone gets a meal and it all gets done in one day. But it doesn't get done until, about August, September, because the pigs have developed their fat for winter to keep themselves warm. And they need that for the charcuterie and the preserving methods to get things done. So, it's looking at, that's a lot of the kind of principles that I tend to work with as well. And making sure that you're using the right things at the right season is pretty important.
Yeah. If you don't mind me just interrupting for a second, can I ask everyone overseas, or I say overseas, everyone, for instance, in the United States and Canada watching, do you air dry? Is air drying something you're familiar with? Is it common there? Because I know me, for instance, as Sandra said, Sandra Stitches, drying apricots on racks out in the sun is, something that Aussies do and people in the Middle East and Asia do. When I lived in Malaysia, for instance, I can remember going to the local villages and you would see tables, and as Blue said, the bamboo trays, you would see just everything from sliced meats and cuts of meat to fruit and vegetables, dry,
and meat.
Drying in the sun. And so I was just wondering, what's the point of view from folks in the USA and Canada, for instance?
What I've seen is with the rise of off-grid folks, there's a rise in drying outside. My concern and why I love Wendy's setup is she's got a fine mesh wire. What would concern me is flies.
Yep.
Just because flies are known to carry stuff, and when they land on stuff, not to be gross, they spit on it. So I did my calendula outside because it was not going to be used for oral purposes. So I felt pretty comfortable in it, but I would dry on the inside versus outside. But I did dry my calendula outside, but that's because I have a high fly population.
Yeah.
From the pigs.
I get that.
Yeah. It's like for me personally, I wouldn't be drying my meat outside. Maybe if I was, look, I could look at salting and smoking meats and stuff like that. And I've got other options. But yeah, it was something that stuck in my head when I was overseas, and just saying that it's just an everyday thing. And we're talking about, I've got to tell you what, they're very fit and healthy people, and there wasn't the local people. It was us foreigners that were the overweight people walking around over there. It was, not them.
Yeah.
Well, and also, that's the other thing too, because it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, aside from, is it Wex? Did I get that name right?
Wex?
For the canning?
Yeah, I got a picture here while you discuss that.
Because Gwen was asking earlier and you were talking about something else. So I answered. And the only reason why I answered for you is because you and I, Daz, have talked about this. And we talked about the jars and the lids and so on. But I also know that it's quite common practice to also use it's also common practice to use, what is it? Like jam jars and can with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas in the United States, that's frowned upon.
Yeah, no, I recycle all my jars, all my lids. Probably every 3 or 4 years, I need to get new lids. But I don't use them once they start looking rusty. I just get new ones, but reuse them all the time. And they're a one-piece lid. And what I did find, because this is like an example, it's not my stuff, but this is a friend of mine who made this. But I found, because you've got with the two lid system, you have to keep it at a certain temperature or the lids pop, right? Well, I found when my house was getting over 55 degrees during summer, 55 to 60 degrees in the summer this year, None of my lids popped. Not one of them. Because they were all sealed with a one piece lid, which actually holds the lid on, keeps the seal, so I don't have to worry about the heat issue. Because if they had 2-piece lids on them, every single one of them would have gone, and we would have lost everything that I'd done this year up to that point. So, yeah.
And I like I personally wish we would use the one lid system, but that's a whole other topic of discussion.
Well, I can show you here. Blue will know what I'm talking about here. In Australia, we have, sorry, I'm just trying to go share the picture, if I've done that correctly.
Well, Glenda at Grace and Fire said they used to use paraffin wax, and
yes,
I've seen that, and that just makes me sick looking at it.
No, it's look, in Australia, this is what we call Fowler's Vacola. Fowler's Vacola have been in Australia. They're an Australian company, and they started around, I don't know, 1915. And for me growing up, my nan and everyone else that I can think of didn't have access to, I don't know whether ball was even around in those days, but they didn't have access to stuff from overseas. And Fowler's Vacola really had the market in Australia. And what they do is they have the jars of different sizes. They have the metal lids and they have the clips. And then you would have to buy also the rubber rings, the rubber gaskets. And I can remember going to the farm to my nan's house and seeing the rings sitting around on benches and in drawers, and they're all over the place. And this is what Australia did. Australia very much did water bath and hot packing and things like that. This is what I was saying earlier, whereas that pressure canning was not a thing, is never a thing in Australia. Fowler's Vacola, these are highly sought after now. You can still buy all this equipment from the company, but now a lot of people, obviously, as older people are passing away, the secondhand market for this stuff is through the roof. It's just everyone, because we can't get the ball jars and everything. Obviously, the ball jars are more convenient than having to put clips and things like that. But yeah, so that's what Aussies are pretty much familiar with, is the Fowler's Vacola. So yeah, sorry, Blue, if I cut you
That's
off.
all right.
Yeah, I just wanted to share. Oh, there you go. Jesse's saying that in 1884, Ball started making glass canning jars. There you go. Yeah. So yeah, in Australia, yeah, we pretty much had this Fowler's Vacola method, and yeah, that's what we stuck to.
Yeah.
Sorry, stop streaming. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Look, we're getting on. It's been 2 hours. Do you just want to quickly, any of you? We'll start with Blue. Do you quickly want to touch on fermenting and pickling, and then we better sort of start wrapping things up?
Well, fermenting's pretty much easy. I mean, like I do, I make my own sauerkraut every year. I do like 10 cabbages worth of sauerkraut every year, and we use that. But it doesn't need to be canned or anything like that, because it works in its own thing. But we keep it out in the shed where it's nice and cold as well. And I do it in a big fermentation bucket that most people use to make beer in. So I do a big one and then go out there and grab it when needed. But I've never like water bathed it or anything, because the bacteria is in it for the fermentation are what actually keeps it preserved. So, you know, some, I mean, like that setup there, I was like each airlock, for the amount of fermentation I do, I do quite a lot of fermenting during the year. That to me would be way too expensive, because each airlock is anywhere between £2 and £4. And I would be looking at probably having to have 30 to 40 to 50 of them, depending on what I was doing at the time. If I was doing it in small jars and things with a little airlock on each one. So I just use the big fermentation buckets. I've got loads of glass weights, loads of them, that I use for fermenting and all sorts of other things. And if I'm doing kinds of different pickles and things, sometimes I just put them in there just to make sure for the first couple of weeks. They don't need to be kept in there once they've gone through the pickling process. They can kind of come out at that point because they've got all the vinegar and the substance that they need in there for whatever reason. But
Candy.
There's springs as well. I don't know if you've seen them, weighted springs.
Yes. I think Lisa's got a video where Lisa did cabbage. Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes, the cabbage was successful. The carrot one never aired because I ruined my entire carrot harvest. But I like the ball spring jars.
I had this for Christmas, and they're way better than pickle pipes.
Pickle pipes? What are
pickle pipes? Pickle pipes?
Pickle pipes are the ones that have the...
You'll have to... Yeah, I have the in my sauerkraut video.
Okay.
I would not recommend them. I'd rather use the ball spring lids.
So basically, it's got the tube sticking up above the lid.
Right. Okay.
And that's what I like about the ball spring, is because the fermenting lid has its own vent on it.
Right.
And I like it because the spring holds everything below the liquid. But
so the pickle pipe, is that the airlock on the top?
Yep.
No, it's just like a little nipple with a hole on top.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so just quickly, I just want to acknowledge, bye Sandy, if I've missed you, I'm really sorry. Thank you so much for being here. Eves is here, and the Hillbilly, I can't English, and the Hillbilly Chicken Ranch are here too, that have dropped in. Thank you so much to everybody. And thank you so much to everybody, Life with Belinda and Chuck for dropping by too. Prepping for Heaven also drops by. Duck Lord Bennett, I don't even know if I said g'day or not. I apologize. G'day to you. But yeah, look, just again, to everyone that's stuck around, thank you so much. And look, LeAnne, I really should have said earlier, you guys, if you would like to drop off the panel, please do, because it's getting so late. LeAnne, it's oh man, I feel so bad. I just get carried away in the chat and all the things that are going on. And look, you know what? I think I might try and wind things up here because it's getting late and it's been a long night for a lot of many people, and early for some people, Blue. We're talking about it's now what, 4 a.m. for you, Blue?
Yep.
And
this is about the time I normally get up.
Yeah, see, and I'm sure it's going to be reaching midnight for a lot of people in the US, if I'm not mistaken.
It's 11.
It's 11. Yeah. So look, and people are running as well. So look, if you don't mind, panel, I'm going to cut it off here. And everyone in chat, just thanks so much. I hope everyone enjoyed this, and it was a bit of a different one, and I thoroughly enjoyed it personally, and I'd love to do it again if it's something. If everyone would like to see something similar, without me pouring corn over myself, I can't believe that. And hopefully I will try and work out what is going on with this thing that's being stuck in the middle of the screen. I don't know what's going on. Look, I enjoyed it. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And I hope there's people out there that have been looking into these types of things that might give them a bit more confidence or a bit more information. But ultimately, please remember food safety, remember your hygiene, remember to consider temperatures, and of course, research everything before you actually do it. You can't go wrong if you research and follow the right way to do things. And don't be intimidated. It really is it's fun and there's so many advantages to everything. And yeah, maybe we'll do this again in the near future. Please, if you don't mind, reply to this video in the comments and let me know what you'd like to see, or maybe just leave a comment on how it went and where we could go with it. Whatever, just it's all about you guys too. It's not just what I think. I love this kind of discussion, and I'd love for everyone to be more involved and for everyone to learn and share together. So with that, I'm going to say thank you very much to the moderators for, as always, for being here and helping out with links and information and bad jokes. And thank you so much to the three ladies on screen for taking the time to be with me today to talk about all these things. Yeah, I think that's about it. Just you all take care, and anyone out there that knows anyone with the flooding in Victoria, just all the best and wish them the best. And we are thinking of them, and we do know, we are aware of what's going on, and they are in our thoughts. All right, with that, I'm going to push the end stream button, and it's 20,000 verification pop-ups. So thank you so much, everyone. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you when I see you. Oh, and I've got a dehydrating lemon thingy video coming out next week, so make sure you look out for that. And please make sure you check out the channels of these ladies on screen, because they also have videos coming out next week. And as always, they're all good videos. So yeah, I drag out my goodbyes way too long. I don't know how you guys do it. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
LeAnne,
Bye, y'all. Bye.
LeAnne's going to reach for the screen and grab me by the neck if I don't go. So bye, everybody.